Coach, we've heard Coach Rolovich's opinion on the quarterback battle a few times. Get your thoughts on kind of the guys competing for it.
Sure. The thing for us is just the lack of separation right now. So that's what we're trying to push for, and making the drills more competitive, put more pressure on them, and continue to see who's going to really rise through and take hold of the group, take hold of the huddle, and be the leader of this group.
Feels like the other big battle of the camp so far on the offense has been the right guard spot. Do you kind of feel like Cade Beresford has kind of emerged as the leader in that regard?
I would say he's the leader. There's a lot of cross training that's happening within that group. So there is still some good competition, but I think he's done a nice job approaching this, and I think he's playing well and playing hard for us. Make is one that's really cross training a lot. Connor is another one that's going to cross train and play some center, play some tackle. So we're trying to kind of solidify that spot and then fill out some of the depth.
There's been a couple of linemen we haven't seen yet in camp, Patrick, Devin, and Dylan. Are they just kind of working through some stuff right now?
Yeah, right now they're not participating in our team practices right now. Some of it's injuries, things like that. But yeah, right now they're not getting a lot of reps with us.
When you say kind of pushing the quarterbacks and putting more pressure, what does that look like at a practice as far as the situational stuff and what you guys are doing to push them and try to create some separation there?
Well, it's having more competitive periods, putting them in more real situations, and then holding them accountable. Today it was, if guys were making mistakes, they were getting pulled from their group and throwing someone else in, and trying to make it more stressful on them, so that when it does get to game time, scrimmage time, it's not as hard and it's not as stressful for them. Things become easier when you make it more stressful in practice.
Do you feel like it took this long to find the separation last year, or do you think it was quicker last year? Or how do you kind of compare the two seasons as when you saw the separation that you needed for?
No, it took some time in the fall too. Yeah, it's not that different. A lot of the guys are still really young and new in this offense and still learning it, and I think that's natural. That they're swimming a little bit early, and then they start getting the hang of how we work in the run game, how the pass game works, how we read things, and as they get to be more confident with what we do, you start seeing guys rise more.
In your running backs room, we've seen Nakia Watson do some pretty good things.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly has he kind of come along in this offense? And do you see a situation where you could potentially use 3 running backs in the game this year?
Yeah, he's picked up our stuff really fast, and he's very smart, very eager. He's a good football player, and he's one that really has shown up and was a great addition for us. And I think that we could play 3 running backs if we need to. It's always challenging to have a rotation like that at times, but there's no doubt he's showing that he's good enough to play for us.
Has the offense and defense, like the amount of times that they win plays, been even in your eyes, and has it been to your liking the amount of times the offense has won a rep?
You want to win all of them, so you're never happy when you're not winning all of them, winning every day, all that stuff. It's been fairly back and forth. The thing with our group right now is the confidence when things don't go well. And I thought towards the end of last week we were doing a really good job just battling every single play. If one didn't go our way, we came back, battled the next play. It went our way, we cleared it. The scrimmage felt different, where it seemed like things got a little bit out of hand at times on our side, just mentally, where guys weren't really pushing through. And I thought today was better for them, of competing every single play, clearing a bad play, and then competing the next play.
Was there ever a moment last season where you felt maybe a little bit behind on your installation of of schematics and everything like that, just because of how strange the year was, and do you feel like you're pretty much caught up at this point?
I think we're on pace for what we should be right now. Last year was just unique in itself, and it was unique for everybody. Playing a fall without true fall camp, without spring ball, it's definitely unique. It's not something that a lot of people have experience with, and everyone else was going through it too. So when you were a new staff installing a new offense, you were going to be a little bit behind. But part of that was on us, of not having too much in, making sure that we were putting in what they could handle and what they could learn and be able to execute really well. So we'll have more stuff in this year than we had last year, and that's natural, just because we've gotten a little bit of a season and we had spring. Now we're going through fall camp, where the learning curve happens a little faster.
You guys were able to use Joey a little bit in the return game last year toward the end of the season, and he kind of filled in. I played a little bit of receiver in the final few games.
Right.
What are you seeing from him and his development, and being able to rely on him this year as potentially a full-time starting slot receiver?
Sure. He's been very dependable. We feel like he's got very good football knowledge, which is important in this offense. He's had a couple too many drops in the last few days, so we got to clean that up and get him catching the ball a little bit better, more consistently. But he brings good energy. He's very competitive. And he's one that you can tell really cares about being good, and you can see that in how he plays.
Pretty rare to see a receiver that doesn't wear gloves in practices. I know he wasn't even wearing gloves when it was
Right.
20 and snowing last year.
Yeah. I would say this day and age it is a little bit strange, but I like it. I think it shows some toughness on his part, and the mental fortitude that he doesn't need something to help him be successful.
I know obviously you don't want to give away too much, but you said there'd be more in the offense. Is there anything you can give us as far as key development stuff that you're excited to kind of debut a little bit? Any?
No, there'll be more. It's more of the offense, and again, I think that's everybody. If you were new this last year, you're probably gonna have more installs this year than you did last year.